Prakash Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful Kirtan. Um, and thank you, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, for giving me this opportunity. It was a pleasure, as always, reading about Bharat Maharaj. So I'm going to share my screen. And can you see my screen?
Yes, Madhu.
Okay. So the first chapter has, the first chapter has 14 shlokas. So we need, and the second chapter has 31 shlokas. So we need like around 5 devotees. The first chapter we can do like 7 each reader, and then the next chapter 10 each reader. Okay. I can see Nandini. Wait a minute.
Should I start?
Yes, Nandini, you can start.
Sudev Goswami continued speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. My dear king, Bharat Maharaj was a topmost devotee. Following the orders of his father, who had already decided to install him on the throne, he began to rule the earth accordingly. When Bharat Maharaj ruled the entire globe, he followed the orders of his father and married Panchajani, the daughter of Vishwarup. Just as a false ego creates the subtle sense objects, Maharaj Bharat created 5 sons in the womb of Panchajani, his wife. These sons were named Sumati, Rashtrabhrata, Sudarshan, Avar, Avaran, and Dhumraketu. Formerly, this planet was known as Ajnabha but since Maharaj Bharat's reign, it has become known as Bharatvarsh. Maharaj Bharat was a very learned and experienced king on this earth. He perfectly ruled the citizens, being himself engaged in his own respective duties. Maharaj Bharat was as affectionate to the citizens as his father and grandfather had been. Keeping them engaged in their occupational duties, he ruled the earth. With great faith, King Bharat performed various kinds of sacrifice. He performed the sacrifices known as Agnihotra, Dash, Purnamas, Chaturmasya, Pashu Yagya, wherein a horse is sacrificed, and Som Yagya, wherein a kind of beverage is offered. Sometimes these sacrifices were performed completely and sometimes partially. In any case, in all the sacrifices, the regulations of Chaturhotra were strictly followed. In this way, Bharat Maharaj worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After performing the preliminaries of various sacrifices, Maharaj Bharat offered the results in the name of religion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. In other words, he performed all the yagyas for the satisfaction of Lord Vasudeva Krishna. Maharaj Bharat thought that since the demigods were different parts of Vasudeva's body, he controls those who are explained in the Vedic mantras. By thinking in this way, Maharaj Bharat was freed from all material contamination, such as attachment, lust, and greed. When the priests were about to offer the sacrificial ingredients into the fire, Maharaj Bharat expertly understood how the offering made to different demigods was simply an offering to the different limbs of the Lord. For instance, Indra is the arm of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Surya, the sun, is his eye. Thus, Maharaj Bharat considered that the oblations offered to different demigods were actually offered unto the different limbs of Lord Vasudeva. In this way, being purified by ritualistic sacrifices, the heart of Maharaj Bharat was completely uncontaminated. his devotional service unto Vasudev, Lord Krishna increased day after day. Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudev, is the original personality of Godhead, manifest as the Supersoul, Paramatma, as well as the impersonal Brahman. Yogis meditate upon the localized Paramatma situated in the heart. Gyanis worship the impersonal Brahman as the supreme absolute truth, and devotees worship Vasudev, the supreme personality of Godhead, whose transcendental body is described in the Shastras. His body is decorated with the Shrivatsa, the Kaustubh jewel, and a flower garland, and his hands hold a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower. Devotees like Narad always think of him within their hearts.
Thank you, Nandini. Kameshwar Prabhu, you want to go next?
Hare Krishna. Destiny fixed the time for Maharaj Bharat's enjoyment of material opulence at 1000 times 10,000 years. When that period was finished, he retired from family life and divided the wealth he had received from his four sons among his sons. He left his parental home, the reservoir of all opulence, and started for Tulhasram, which is situated in Haridwar. The Saligrama Silas are obtainable there. At Pulaha Ashram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, out of his transcendental affection for his devotee, becomes visible to his devotee, satisfying his devotee's desires. In Pulaha Ashrama is the Gandaki river, which is the best of all rivers. The Saligrama Sila, the marble pebbles, purify all those places. On each and every marble pebble, up and down, circles like navels are visible. In the gardens of Pulahasram, Maharaj Bharata lived alone and collected a variety of flowers, twigs, and tulsi leaves. He also collected the water of the Gandaki river as well as various roots, fruits, and bulbs. With these, he offered food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, and worshipping him, he remained satisfied. In this way, his heart was completely uncontaminated and he did not have the least desire for material enjoyment. All material desires vanished. In this steady position, he felt full satisfaction and was situated in devotional service. That most exalted devotee, Maharaja Bharata, in this way engaged constantly in the devotional service of the Lord. Naturally, his love for Vasudeva Krishna increased more and more and melted his heart. Consequently, he gradually lost all attachment for regulative duties. The hairs of his body stood on end, and all the ecstatic bodily symptoms were manifest. Tears flowed from his eyes, so much so that he could not see anything. Thus, he constantly meditated on the reddish lotus feet of the Lord. At that time, his heart, which was like a lake, was filled with the water of ecstatic love. When his mind was immersed in that lake, he even forgot the regulative service to the Lord. Maharaja Bharata appeared very beautiful. He had a wealth of curly hair on his head, which was wet from bathing 3 times daily. He dressed in a deer skin. He worshipped Lord Narayana, whose body was composed of golden effulgence and who resided within the sun. Maharaja Bharata worshipped Lord Narayana by chanting the hymns given in the Rig Veda, and he recited the following verse at the sun rose. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in pure goodness. He illuminates the entire universe and bestows all benedictions upon his devotees. The Lord has created this universe from his own spiritual potency. According to his desire, the Lord entered this universe as the super soul, and by virtue of his different potencies, he is maintaining all living entities desiring material enjoyment. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who is the giver of intelligence. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Gaur Kumar Prabhu, you want to go next?
Yes. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, My dear king, one day, after finishing his morning duties, evacuating, urinating, and bathing, Maharaj Bharata sat down on the bank of the river Gandaki for a few minutes and began chanting his mantra, beginning with Omkara. O king, while Bharat Maharaj was sitting on the bank of that river, a doe, being very thirsty, came there to drink. While the doe was drinking with great satisfaction, a lion, which was very close, roared very loudly. This was frightful to every living entity, and it was heard by the doe. By nature, the doe was always afraid of being killed by others, and it was always looking about suspiciously. When it heard the lion's tumultuous roar, it became very agitated. Looking here and there with disturbed eyes, the doe, although it had not fully satisfied itself by drinking water, suddenly leaped across the river. The doe was pregnant, and when it jumped out of fear, the baby deer fell from its womb into the flowing waters of the river. Being separated from its folk and distressed by its miscarriage, the black doe, having crossed the river, was very much distressed. Indeed, it fell down in a cave and died immediately. The great king Bharata, while sitting on the bank of the river, saw the small deer, bereft of its mother, floating down the river. Seeing this, he felt great compassion. Like a sincere friend, he lifted the infant deer from the waves and, knowing it to be motherless, brought it to his ashram. Gradually, Bharata became very affectionate toward the deer. He began to raise it and maintain it by giving it grass. He was always careful to protect it from the attacks of tigers and other animals. When it itched, he petted it, and in this way, he always tried to keep it in a comfortable condition. He sometimes kissed it out of love. Being attached to raising the deer, Maharaj Bharata forgot the rules and regulations for the advancement of spiritual life, and he gradually forgot to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After a few days, he forgot everything about his spiritual advancement. The great king, Maharaj Bharata, began to think, Alas, this helpless young deer, by the force of time, an agent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has now lost its relatives and friends and has taken shelter of me. It does not know anyone but me, as I have become its father, mother, brother, and relatives. This deer is thinking in this way, and it has full faith in me. It does not know anyone but me. Therefore, I should not be envious and think that for the deer, my own welfare will be destroyed. I should certainly raise, protect, gratify, and fondle it. When it has taken shelter with me, how can I neglect it? Even though the deer is disturbing my spiritual life, I realize that a helpless person who has taken shelter cannot be neglected. That would be a great fault. Even though one is in the renounced order, one who is advanced certainly feels compassion for suffering living entities. One should certainly neglect his own personal interests, although they may be very important to protect one who has surrendered.
Thank you, Gaur Kumar Prabhu. Vallabh Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hari Bol, should I read
Yes,
10
yes,
verses?
please, Mani. Yes, 10 verses.
Oh, okay. Even though, due to attachment for the deer, Maharaj Bharat lay down with it, walked about with it, bathed with it, and even ate with it. Thus his heart became bound to the deer in affection. When Maharaj Bharat wanted to enter the forest to collect kusha grass, flowers, wood, leaves, fruits, roots, and water, he would fear that dogs, jackals, tigers, and other ferocious animals might kill the deer. He would therefore always take the deer with him when entering the forest. When entering the forest, the animal would appear very attractive to Maharaj Bharat due to its childish behavior. Maharaj Bharat would even take the deer on his shoulders and carry it due to affection. His heart was so filled with great love for the deer that he would sometimes keep it on his lap or when sleeping on his chest. In this way, he felt great pleasure in fondling the animal. When Maharaj Bharat was actually worshipping the Lord or was engaged in some ritualistic ceremony, although his activities were unfinished, he would still, at intervals, get up and see where the deer was. In this way, he would look for it, and when he could see that the deer was comfortably situated, his mind and heart would be very satisfied, and he would bestow his blessings upon the deer, saying, "My dear calf, may you be happy in all respects." If Maharaj Bharat sometimes could not see the deer, his mind would be very agitated. He would become like a miser who, having obtained some riches, had lost them and had then become very unhappy. When the deer was gone, he would be filled with anxiety and would lament due to separation. Thus, he would become illusioned and speak as follows. Bharat Maharaj would think, "Alas, the deer is now helpless. I am now very unfortunate, and my mind is like a cunning hunter, for it is always filled with cheating propensities and cruelty. The deer has put its faith in me, just as a good man who has natural interest in good behavior forgets the misbehavior of a cunning friend and puts his faith in him. Although I have proved faithless with this dear return and place its faith with this dear return and place its faith in me. Alas, it is possible that I shall again see this animal protected by the Lord and fearless of tigers and other animals. Shall I again see him wandering in the garden eating soft grass? I don't know, but the deer might have been eaten by a wolf or a dog or by the boars that flock together or the tiger who travels alone. Alas, when the sun rises, all auspicious things begin. Unfortunately, they have not begun for me. The sun god is the Vedas personified, but I am bereft of all Vedic principles. That sun god is now setting, yet the poor animal who trusted in me since its mother died has not returned. That deer is exactly like a prince. When will it return? When will it again display its personal activities, which are so pleasing? When will it again pacify a wounded heart like mine? I certainly must have no pious assets. Otherwise, the deer would have returned by now. Haribol.
Thank you, Manjri Gopi. Niti Kishori Mataji, you want to complete the
Sure. Alas, the small deer, while playing with me and seeing me feigning meditation with closed eyes, would circumambulate me due to anger arising from love, and it would fearfully touch me with the points of its soft horns, which felt like drops of water. When I placed all the sacrificial ingredients on the kusha grass, the deer, when playing, would touch the grass with its teeth and thus pollute it. When I chastised the deer by pushing it away, it would immediately become fearful and sit down motionless, exactly like the son of a saintly person. Thus, it would stop its play. After speaking like a madman in this way, Maharaj Bharat got up and went outside. Seeing the footprints of the deer on the ground, he praised the footprints out of love, saying, "O unfortunate Bharata, your austerities and penances are very insignificant compared to the penance and austerity undergone by this earth planet. Due to the earth's severe penances, the footprints of this deer, which are small, beautiful, most auspicious, and soft, are imprinted on the surface of this fortunate planet. This series of footprints show a person like me who am bereaved due to loss of the deer, how the animal has passed through the forest and how I can regain my lost wealth. By these footprints, this land has become a proper place for Brahmanas who desire heavenly planets or liberation to execute sacrifice to the demigods." Maharaj Bharat continued to speak like a madman. Seeing above his head the dark marks on the rising moon, which resembled a deer, he said, "Can it be that the moon, who is so kind to be an unhappy man, might also be kind upon my deer? Knowing that it has strayed from home and has become motherless, this moon has given the deer shelter near itself just to protect it from the fearful attacks of a lion." After perceiving the moonshine, Maharaj Bharat continued speaking like a crazy person. He said, "The dear sun was so submissive and dear to me that due to its separation, I am feeling separation from my own son. Due to the burning fever of this separation, I am suffering as if inflamed by a forest fire. My heart, which is like the lily of the land, is now burning. Seeing me so distressed, the moon is certainly splashing its shining nectar upon me, just as a friend throws water on another friend who has a high fever. In this way, the moon is bringing me happiness." Sukadeva Goswami continued, "My dear king, in this way, Bharat Maharaj was overwhelmed by an uncontrollable desire which was manifest in the form of a deer. Due to the fruitive results of his past deeds, he fell down from mystic yoga, austerity, and worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If it were not due to his past fruitive activity, how could he have been attracted to the deer after giving up the association of his own son and family, considering them stumbling blocks on the path of spiritual life? How could he show uncontrollable affection for a deer? This was definitely due to his past karma. The king was so engrossed in petting and maintaining the deer that he fell down from his spiritual activities. In due course of time, insurmountable death, which is compared to a venomous snake that enters the hole created by a mouse, situated itself before him. At the time of death, the king saw that the deer was sitting by his side, exactly like his own son, and was lamenting his death. Actually, the mind of the king was absorbed in the body of a deer, and consequently, like those bereft of Krishna consciousness, he left the world, the deer, and his material body, and acquired a body of a deer. However, there was one advantage. Although he lost his human body and received the body of a deer, he did not forget the incidents of his past life. Although in the body of a deer, Bharat Maharaj, due to his rigid devotional service in his past life, could understand the cause of his birth in that body. Considering his past and present life, he constantly repented his activities, speaking in the following way. In the body of a deer, Bharat Maharaj began to lament. "What misfortune! I have fallen from the path of the self realized. I gave up my real sons, wife, and home to advance in spiritual life, and I took shelter in a solitary holy place in the forest. I became self controlled and self realized, and I engaged constantly in devotional service, hearing, thinking, chanting, worshipping, and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. I was successful in my attempt, so much so that my mind was always absorbed in devotion service. However, due to my personal foolishness, my mind again became attached, this time to a deer. Now I have obtained the body of a deer and have fallen far from my devotional practices. Although Bharat Maharaj received the body of a deer, by constant repentance he became completely detached from all material things. He did not disclose these things to anyone, but he left his mother deer in a place known as Kalanjara mountain, where he was born. He again went to the forest of Salagrama and to the ashrama of Pulastya and Pulaha. Remaining in that ashrama, the great king Bharat Maharaj was now very careful not to fall victim to bad association. Without disclosing his past to anyone, he remained in that ashrama and ate dry leaves only. He was not exactly alone, for he had the association of the super soul. In this way, he waited for the death in the body of a deer. Bathing in that holy place, he finally gave up that body. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you all, the readers. We'll begin with the prayers now. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Just going to share the PowerPoint. Give me a few seconds. Okay. All right. So, can you all see the PowerPoint?
Yes, we are also seeing the next slide. So it's presenter view, I think.
Just give me.
Yeah, perfect.
You can't see the next slide now?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. So to give yes, so the to just give the subsections of the chapter 5.7 and 5.8. In chapter 5.7, we saw King Bharat Maharaja's rule and how he retires and goes to Pulaha Ashram. And then in 5.8, we see the entire story of Bharat Maharaj and the deer. So to give a little bit of a background and context of where we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam right now. So Srila Shukdev Goswami, he mentions this verse in the second canto, Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utayaha Manvantareshanu Katha Nirodho Muktir Ashrayaha. So right now, these are the 10 topics of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which are namely the creation of the universe, sub-creation, planetary systems, protection by the Lord, creative impetus, the change of manus, the science of God, returning home, back to Godhead, liberation, and the Samam Bonam. And so right now, we are in the Utayaha part of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the creative impetus, or also understood as the impetus for devotional service. So this pastime of Bharat Maharaj is very fitting to the subject because it gives us impetus how to perform devotional service and how to avoid negative impetus as well. And it's also very instructive because a lot of lessons for practicing sadhanas can be gotten from this pastime. So to give a little bit of the background of the story, Rishabdev ruled the Ajanabha Varsha, and under his rule, everyone was encouraged to perform and practice devotional service. And so everyone was very happy with his rule. And at the end of his rule, he gives instructions to his 100 sons, and he names his first son, Bharat Maharaj, as the next ruler, and tells all his other sons to cooperate with him and to not be envious of each other and to serve him. And then he leaves kingdom and then lives like an Avdut, like we saw in the past discussions. And so then we come to Bharat Maharaj's rule. And again, like we read, Bharat Maharaj's rule, he ruled in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. And when he was doing sacrifices, it could be thought of karma kanda, but it wasn't karma kanda because he knew that the demigods are the universal administrators, and so they are the limbs of the Lord. So he would meditate on all the limbs of the Lord while he was offering the sacrifice. And then he cared for all of his citizens and made sure they were all suitably engaged according to their dharma. And like his father, he left at the time destined and didn't stick around for too long. And so essentially, he was a thoroughly Krishna conscious ruler. And after leaving, he worships the Lord with Tulsi on the banks of the river Gandaki. And with his worship, with his devotional service, he had reached the platform of bhava. And then we see how the story progresses, that he sees the deer, that the mother deer that jumps across the river because of the sudden roar of the lion. And she miscarries, and the baby fawn drops into the river, and then she jumps to the other side. And because of the trauma and intense fear, grief of seeing her child about to die in front of her eyes, she gives up her body then and there. And so Bharat Maharaj is sitting on this bank and he's meditating, and he picks up the deer and he brings him home. So the question that can be asked here is, was he wrong? Was Bharat Maharaj wrong in picking up the deer and saving the deer? Because that's essentially what causes all his further downfall. So the acharyas say that Radhanath Maharaj, I heard this lecture of Radhanath Maharaj, and he was just explaining this. And he was saying, imagine Bharat Maharaj telling that deer, looking at him with his piteous eyes. Imagine that Bharat Maharaj telling the deer, you're in Maya, or you're not the body. And that's just so strange, and it's not how devotees actually behave. So yes, compassion is the natural quality of a devotee. So rescuing the baby deer, getting him to the ashram, feeding it, that was not wrong. That was completely right. But according to acharyas, where Bharat Maharaj went wrong was he did it. He gave the deer more care than it needed, and at the cost of his own sadhana. He gave him so much care that he forgot his sadhana, forgot his meditation, and so that's what is the problem about the compassion here. So Bharat Maharaj was not an ordinary devotee. He had no anarthas. He had, we saw like he was on the platform of bhava. So he had already passed the stage of anartha nivritti. No lust, envy, greed, none of that. He only had good qualities. But so Maya is so powerful that she can actually enter through the good qualities as well, and that's what happened in the case of Bharat Maharaj. Gaurang Darshan Prabhu mentions this in his analysis of the Bharat Maharaj pastime. He says, passion may be a symptom of attack of Maya, and compassion may also be the symptom of the attack of Maya. So Maya basically catches Bharat Maharaj through this good quality of compassion there. So Srila Prabhupada speaks in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.9.24, the purport. He says that there are two things required for a devotee to survive, however exalted a devotee might be. And those two things are fear of fall down and constant prayer for protection. And so it's something that as practicing devotees we need to be aware of. There's an analogy of if you keep butter in the fridge for 10 years, I mean, obviously it'll be spoiled, but that's not the point of that analogy. But if you remove it out after 10 years and you keep it on the fire, that butter is going to melt. So it's not about how long we have been chanting or how the quantity of devotional service that we've been doing, but we need to be always aware and aware of Maya's prowess, and at the same time also seek protection. So like we were talking about, in the case of Bharat Maharaj, it was a misplaced compassion. So two examples of misplaced compassion that we can see from the Shastras, and one is Saubhari Muni. So Saubhari Muni was performing austerities underwater, and he was very attached. He got like super attached to the fish that he was seeing around him constantly. And so Garudji used to come and eat the fish because that's his natural food. And so he tells Garud to not eat the fish one time. And then what happens is Garudji comes again. And then the second time, Saubhari Muni gets very angry and he curses him to never be able to come in that area, because so that he cannot touch the fish. So now this was an act of compassion in the eyes of Saubhari Muni, but in the Bhagavatam it's explained. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Prabhupada quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and says that so-called compassion that does not tally with the order of the Lord merely creates disturbance. It's mentioned that is the reason why Kaliya could move in the Yamuna. That's where Saubhari Muni was meditating. So because of his material attachment to the fish, he failed to see the situation from a spiritual viewpoint. So this pastime is comparative to Bharat Maharaj's story, but the one contrast here is that Saubhari Muni committed a great offense to the Lord's devotee, which wasn't there in the pastime of Bharat Maharaj. So the fall down was not so severe in the case of Bharat Maharaja. And the other example is, of course, we've heard, studied, read about this Arjuna, who feels compassion for his family members just before the start of the war. And Krishna says that there are a lot of verses where Krishna is talking about compassion for the dress of the drowning man. And so we just discussed that in the future slides. Essentially, Krishna says that I told you to tolerate duality, not tolerate injustice. So that was another example of misplaced compassion. So that brings us to the question of then what is real compassion? And this is one quote from Raghunath Swami. He's saying that real compassion means to understand what the needs for the body, mind, and soul are. So, so I was just trying to understand this a little bit more deeply. In the pastime of Bharat Maharaj, he's focusing on the body of the deer, and Prabhupada mentions in one of the purports that he's not able to realize that he's not going to be able to take this deer to a higher spiritual platform because he's in the body of the deer. So to care for someone is wonderful, but to never lose focus of the real need, and the real need is the real need of the soul, and that's to be liberated from suffering. So what often happens is we tend to focus on the physical and emotional needs alone, which acts as a temporary band-aid, and we tend to kind of lose sight of the soul. That's also one of the dangers of altruistic philanthropic activities. We forget about the real need of the soul. That's what Bharat Maharaj was going through. So I wanted to raise the question here is what any practical way, that something that you've done or heard or seen examples of showing real compassion. Yes, if anybody has anything they'd like to mention, talk about. Yes, Nandini and Ritesh Prabhu.
I just have some thought, not like a practical example, but more of so there is so subtle difference here, because naturally it would be like for Arjuna, for Bharat Maharaj, and they are very exalted devotees. For them, it was like kind of hard uh, to like kind of differentiate between real compassion and actual need of the body, mind, and soul. So for us, it is also like, of course, we can talk about it deeply, but then I think the real thing that we need to focus on is to keeping the association, which goes like, okay, why did he even get into that compassion and lost like at the cost of his sadhana, was because if he had certain association around him, that would have made a lot of difference. Because by ourselves, even Bharat Maharaj and Arjuna was kind of misplaced their compassion. So yeah, kind of depending on devotees, Krishna is something that I can think of as a principle at this point.
Yeah, association definitely gives you a better perspective of whether your compassion is real or misled. Yes, we're going to discuss association also a little bit later in the slides. Yes, Gaurakumar Prabhu.
So one example that I can immediately think of is the Bhaktivedanta Hospital in Mumbai. So when I went there at our last visit, I was so amazed to see that Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra are taken to every room. So not only is the body being taken care of, but even the soul is taken care of, because all the patients, they get darshan of Jagannath Baldev Subhadra every day. Bhagavad Gita is chanted. I mean, the people are chanting the holy names. It's almost like a temple. I was amazed that all aspects, body, mind, and soul, were taken care of. So I felt that that was real compassion.
Yes, I'm going to talk about this example. Thank you for bringing it up, Prabhuji. Um, mm, yes, so there is this cart. It has wheels, and the cart goes throughout the wards and everywhere. Respecting the religion of the patient, they're given the choice to offer a flower to deities. They're given prasadam, and so yeah, that's one of the things that's done. Yes, Nitya Kishori.
Yeah. So I was also thinking about one practical example and also kind of philosophically as well. The practical example is, devotees having pets, right?
Hmm.
We know many devotees who have pets, and they care for the pets' immediate, like bodily requirements or bodily needs as well. And then at the same time, they are able to take care of they are not, at least the devotees whom I know, they're not distracted by that service, by that, in that process. They still continue doing their sadhana and their seva, whatever, reading, hearing, chanting, thinking, whatever it is required. But at the same time, they take care of the bodily needs of the particular pet or pets, and also feeding them prasadam.
Hmm.
Um, that is also a compassion that ultimately, hopefully, we don't know, in some lifetime that soul can manifest into a body of a human, and take to Krishna consciousness. Um, but those are kind of the practical examples, and in particularly, regarding this quote from Radhanath Swami Maharaj, um, I and relating to the Bharat Maharaj pastime, it's that the immediate requirement and also the ultimate has to be seen. If we keep on focusing on the immediate and lose the picture of the um, ultimate goal, or the ultimate factor why we are here, then this is the warnings that this pastime shows us, right, of what would transpire. But if we keep that ultimate goal also in focus while taking care of the immediate needs, then I guess that is kind of the what the this chapter talks about also as well. And it also talks about past karma. That is a remote cause as well, right? Like the for Bharat Maharaj to give up his own sons and then come to a forest to be attached again to a deer. The verses say that there is some past karma involved in that as well. So it kind of like it's a triangular, the immediate, ultimate, and remote factors have to be taken care of and understood as devotees. We cannot just focus on one and lose focus on the other two.
That's very wonderful, man. The immediate, ultimate, and remote. Yes. All the three factors being kept into awareness when you're dealing with giving compassion to someone. Yeah. Thank you for that, Bhavani. Anybody else wants to say something? Okay, moving on. So Bharat Maharaj, moving on to the story. Bharat Maharaj, when he would be going to the forest, he would be collecting roots and fruits. And he would walk on thorns and he would allow the deer to walk on soft grass. That was the level of affection that he had for the deer. So that is the nature of the soul, to show affection. And I'm just going to dive a little deeper into affection. So Gaurkumar Prabhu gives this analysis. I heard one lecture in which he's analyzing affection. And he mentions that affection can be of three types: misplaced affection, unplaced affection, and rightly placed affection. So in misplaced affection, he mentions that's when you repose your affection in things or people. So things cannot reciprocate back, and people do reciprocate, but sometimes in this world it can be selfish or exploitative. And even if it is selfless, there comes a point where there is death, and so it comes to an end. So there is no ultimate satisfaction. And then talking about unplaced affection, that is the philosophy of Shankaracharya. Since everything is unreal, mithya, so don't place affection anywhere. It's the philosophy of hopelessness. Just take sannyas and become Narayan. That's the philosophy of hopelessness. And then talking about affection that's rightly placed, it talks about how Krishna consciousness strikes a balance between the two, between hopelessness and frustration, when we make the object of our affection as Lord Krishna. So our affection finds its direction to Krishna. So when you hear all of this, there is the immediate question that what about your family? What about our children, wives, sons, relatives? So Srila Prabhupada writes in the preface to NOD that it's very hope giving, and it gives this analysis of this subject of rightly placed affection towards Krishna. So when you talk about Krishna, it's mentioned in the preface, it includes three things: his incarnations, the living entities, that is all the jivas, and the energies. When you're talking about Krishna, you're not talking about Krishna alone. You're talking about his incarnations, living entities, that's your family, and his energies as well. So your affection is automatically reposed in all three of them, and it's reposed through your family. The affection through your family is finding its direction towards Krishna, is how I understand it. So if you think about Bharat Maharaj, the deer could not understand the emotions of Bharat Maharaj. We sometimes invest emotions in relationships that don't work, and we actually ignore those who love and care for us really deeply. So Lord Krishna actually loves us more than anyone else in the cosmos, and he's eager to maintain this relationship, but we don't really understand it, and are kind of trying to move away. So the example of Ajamil is given, that Ajamil loved his child so much, but the child did not understand his emotions. When he was dying, Ajamil was calling out the name of his child, but he was just playing with his toys. But Lord Narayan understood his emotions, even though they were not meant for him. He still took those emotions, and he sent poor Vishnudutas to help him. So I was just trying to understand this, because yes, loving Krishna, reposing affection in Krishna, all of these points, I was kind of wondering. I feel like I'm pretty far away from that. So I just wanted to ask you all this question: what steps do you take to repose your love in Krishna, and or how do you become aware of his love or presence in your life? It's a very, I feel it's like a very deep, maybe personal question. You may not want to answer it, but yes, Lekha, go for it.
Hi Krishna. I think like one of the and this actually Gaurakumar Prabhu had mentioned it like 1 or 2 years ago in one of his classes. One of the ways that I get back to this is remember all the mercy Krishna has shown, like how did he bring me out of a situation, like where did he help, it just comes through like unexpected means, and that it's only Krishna, like there's no other way. I mean, he reciprocates every day, right? But like you mentioned, it's hard to like remember it and be grateful, but these extreme instances, if you can just journal, or if you can just remember, I think that's one way of like assuring faith, because it has definitely helped me whenever I go through like some state of fear or some state of anxiety. I'm like, okay, when I didn't even ask for help, Krishna was there, so why will he not be here for me in this situation which I'm like very distressed about? So then what should I learn? So that's how I try to navigate my situations, by remembering what Krishna has done in critical situations in my life.
Yeah, journaling is like very, very valuable. It is a very valuable way of remembering Krishna and now that you mention it, I actually remember Gaurakumar Prabhu talking about this a few years back. And Rajbihari Prabhu also keeps mentioning about that's one of his favorite ways to connect with Krishna. He really talks about journaling a lot. So
I
yeah.
see.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. I can see your hand.
So, one thing about journaling, since journaling has been mentioned here, and Yavraj Bihari Prabhu also talks a lot about it. One thing about that is I feel I've often seen myself doing this where I journal and I just leave it at that. Because when we journal, we get into that kind of habit of journaling, and then we keep journaling, but we never revisit it. So the gratitude for Krishna actually, and this is what Brajvihari Prabhu also mentions, that journaling may not give you, immediate love or affection for Krishna, but it will surely kind of take you closer to understanding how Krishna is acting in your life. So, but for that, I feel whatever we journal, we need to revisit it. So I use this particular one app, and I journal in it sometimes regularly, sometimes I lose touch and everything. But then what this app does is suddenly I get emails at times that, this is what you wrote on this day last year. And I'm like, and then the title of that journal seems intriguing to me. I go back and then I read, and then I feel, oh my God, wow, this is so nice. When I look back at that situation, then I feel, wow, this is amazing. Krishna's mercy is coming so nicely. Otherwise, if we don't revisit it, then it's like it'll just stay there. Of course, there is benefit to it, benefit to taking it out of us. But I guess revisiting whenever we can is also equally important.
What is the name of this app, Prabhuji?
It's called Penzu, Penzu, Penzu.
I think that's going to be really helpful. I've been looking for something like that. It's something like, Google Photos shows you memories of, creates these memories and like just shows you after a few years, and yeah, I think that's quite a helpful way. Yeah, revisiting that app. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for this.
Yeah. And yeah, as you say, I mean, even I echo the same point that you mentioned, like affection for Krishna in the way we show affection to family members and everything is a far off thing for me. But that nectar of devotion point you mentioned is very, very profound actually. When we think of Krishna, it's not just Krishna, it's Krishna's energies, it's Krishna's paraphernalia and everything. So even Lord Shiva mentions that tadiyanam samarchanam. So whatever is related to Krishna is also it takes us to Krishna. Now, interestingly, seeing something as connected to Krishna is up to us. So that's the beautiful part about it. Seeing something as being connected to Krishna is not really, I mean, it is there in the thing also, but then it's more up to us as to what we want to do. Whether we want to see Krishna, see it connected to Krishna, or see it how it connects to my own agenda. So yeah. Anyway, sorry, that's all.
No, that's very important, Prabhuji. Yeah, connecting things, seeing things. It depends on your vision. how much you want to repose your love towards Krishna depends on the steps that you're taking towards Krishna by connecting things to Krishna. So yeah, that makes sense, Praveen. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Okay, I'm going to need help for a second here.
While we are waiting, I don't know how many of you heard the podcast between Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj and Namras Prabhu. I can post the link. Some very, very amazing points were made. So please listen to it. I think Sundari Saki is back. So yeah, please continue.
Yes, sorry for that. Yeah, okay. So, yes. So, talking about the story ahead. So, Bharat Maharaj basically gives up his spiritual practices at this point, and he's lamenting about the deer when he can't see him. So, Braj Bihari Prabhu talks about this in his recent lecture, where he talks about the 4 hours of fall down. So how basically you begin to reduce your standards, and how the slide just occurs. So the first thing that happens is you begin to reduce. So in the name of compassion, or in the name of whatever else, you begin to reduce your standards. And we all have a deer, if you think about it. That deer could be FB, Facebook, or Netflix, or WhatsApp, or the recent Wimbledon championship that's going on. The problem here is reducing standards is okay, it's going to happen because we are conditioned. But we are going to get carried away. But then we want to, as spiritual practitioners, we want to get back on track. That's important. But Bharat Maharaj, he goes on to the next R, which is a bigger problem, and which is called reasoning. Now, he was justifying that it's perfectly natural for me to reduce standards. If I don't take care, there's nobody who will take care of this deer. It doesn't have a mother, it doesn't have a father. I have to be the mother, father of this deer. So if your standards are reducing, you want to accept it and be humble about it, not justify it, because that's going to make it a bigger problem. So that's why I put it in red, because this is the most dangerous part of this fall down. And then once the reasoning sets in, then it becomes your spiritual practices become a ritual. So Bharat Maharaj would chant, but he was only thinking about the deer. He used to sit with that deer on his lap and pet him and keep trying to meditate, and so that's what your spiritual practice eventually becomes into. So Raj Bihari Prabhu was speaking of this example. He's like, when we were young, we used to do this for Satyanarayan, some puja, but there was cricket going out, so we used to just like take a break, go out, check the scores, and go back in. So that's something that we deal with as sadhakas, as your chanting or any other spiritual practice, just becoming a ritual. And then finally, you become restless. You just want to somehow finish your rounds. I think at least I face this problem sometimes. So I really liked what Braj Bihari Prabhu said about this. He spoke a lot about about how to stop this downslide, and 2 things that he mentions that really stood out to me were to not stop your practice. So, for example, chanting 16. Okay, today you're not feeling inspired to chant your 16 rounds. Doesn't mean you don't chant your 16 rounds. you chant your 16 rounds, but after you finish chanting your 16 rounds, you take a break, you meditate, and find one or few things that immediately emotionally connect you to Krishna. So he gives an example of, for him, it's BJP that he always talks about: breathing, journaling, prayer. He takes a break and just takes a few deep breaths and just talks with Krishna that Krishna, I love you, and I'm finding it a little boring, and I'm finding it a bit of a ritual, and then I take a pause and wait for Krishna to reveal. That's what he was mentioning. So he gives the example of two lovers that are far away from each other, how they keep calling each other in a day. I think many of us have this experience. I was in India, Karan was here. We used to keep calling, we used to keep talking. So yeah, so that one thing that you like about Krishna consciousness, finding that, meditating and finding that one thing that connects you, and kind of making that call to Krishna, taking out a few moments of your day and making that call to Krishna when you feel that the practice just becoming a pure ritual. He mentions that in any relationship, there are two things. There are things we need to do and things we like to do. So your chanting is your duty. It's your obligation, that you're proving your sincerity. It's your promise to your guru, or it's your promise to Krishna, whatever number of rounds you have promised. I'm speaking for initiated as well as non-initiated people. And what we like to do, so there may be things like kirtan or deity worship or writing or memorizing shlokas or something that you can just keep doing. So you do things that you need to do, you do the thing that you need to do without break, and you also do things that you like to do to find that connection to Krishna. So this was, I'm trying to summarize it, but I will share that link with you. If you can, just go and hear that entire talk. It's very beautiful the way Prabhuji explains it. So yes, so this pastime of Bharat Maharaj is actually very hope-giving for sadhakas. So in Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned, Krishna keeps mentioning that your senses are going to take the mind away, and it's going to take away the man's intelligence. But he also, and that's what we see happened in Bharat Maharaj's pastime. But then we also see him talking about Neha Bhikarva Nashosti. There is no loss or diminution of endeavor, and even a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. And also Yogakshemam Mahamyam, I carry what you lack. So Bharat Maharaj was eventually gives up his body, and while giving up his body, he's thinking of the deer. And so when he gives up his body, once he is born as a deer. And so yes, I want to just quickly discuss a few examples. Can you all think of any examples of devotees who took birth in lower species, but it ended up actually accelerating their devotional service?
Jatayu. Vultures are considered to be like from lower species, but Jatayu served Ram, Sita, Lakshmana till his last breath.
Yes, that's an example. I'm just thinking, was Jatayu in a higher form of life before? I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Actually,
I'm
no,
looking
no.
for, I'm looking for, it's a good example, but I'm specifically looking for devotees. Yamala Arjuna trees.
Got it.
Jagannath
Yeah.
Mahaprabhu is saying. Yes. Nalakuber and Manigriv. Yes.
Chitraketu? Does Chitraketu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Chitraketu also. Yes.
Yeah.
Gajendra. Yes.
Yeah. So
all the examples that I had written here. Yes. Maharaj Nrika is one example. I think you'll know the other stories. Wait, is somebody writing? Yes. Okay. Yes, Prabhuji, Krishna and Prabhu Nriga. So I'll just discuss Nriga's pastime a little bit. So he was known for giving charity. He used to give 1,000 milk-giving cows to brahmanas with gold-tipped horns and jewels and silk. And one cow comes back. And because of that one cow coming back, his entire life goes for a toss, essentially. He tries to convince both the brahmanas, I'll give you 1,000 cows more. Let go of this one cow, but neither of the brahmanas is ready to agree. Also, because their reasoning is that once charity is given, it's their dharma to accept it, so he can't return it. So anyway, he's cursed, and then he becomes a lizard. And then, because of him becoming a lizard, he comes into contact with the sons of Lord Krishna, and then they want to lift that lizard from the well, but they can't lift, and so they go and call Lord Krishna, who comes and he lifts that lizard with his left hand, and as soon as the lizard face is touched by the Lord, he gets this spiritual celestial body of the demigod. And it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, and from that point he goes ahead to this. He continues his spiritual life ahead. So I would have liked, but I think we're short of time, so I'm just gonna. So you see, in all of these examples, Indranuma became an elephant, Gajendra, Nalakuvirmani became the trees, and Vritrasura became a demon, and all of them advanced ahead because of an apparent curse and an apparent fall down into a lower species, which also happens with Bharat Maharaj as well. So Vritrasura, just mentioning here because it's one of my favorite verses, he mentions he's seeking the association, he's seeking the friendship in the association of devotees in one of the prayers, in one of his famous prayers, which brings us to the next and the last slide. Which is the importance of association. This is the verse that Gaur Kumar Prabhu shared last time during the Tuesdays, at the end of the Tuesday Sangha, and I just captured it. I grabbed a screenshot because I knew I'm going to need it for today. And so this is what is mentioned in the Madhya CC. Krishna Bhakta Janma Mula Haya Sadhu Sangha, Krishna Prema Janme, Teno Puna Mukhya Anga. However, the root cause of devotional service to Lord Krishna is association. Even when one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, association with devotees is still most essential. So I'm not going to speak about association because I think we have heard a lot about it. One question that I wanted to ask you all, why do you think, or how has association helped you in your lives? Any experiences that you might want to share? Going once, going twice.
Association has helped me to come every Tuesday and discuss Bhagavatam.
Yes, I was thinking of the same thing when I was, yes.
Yeah.
Really.
So, so many things. Spiritual life, bhakti is impossible without association. If we just look at it on a practical level, like impossible. Prabhupada said it already that if someone thinks that they can practice Krishna consciousness away from devotees alone, they are insane. Strong word, but then the positive aspect of it is something we all have experienced, and even if we just think a little as to where we are in our bhakti, we'll realize that it's devotees' mercy that we are here. Because of the mercy.
Yeah. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains in CC the 5 things that are most important in Krishna consciousness: Sadhu Sangha, Nam Sankirtan, Bhagavad Shravan, Mathuravas, Shri Murti, Shraddha, Sevana. All of these 5 depend on association. I saw some other hand raised.
Krishnan Prabhu and Nitya.
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji, Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So you asked about our experience of association. So I can share my experience. I actually attended. I used to attend Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's 52 series class on Bhagavad Gita, and I would see Gaur Kumar Prabhu there all the time. And then it so happened that I signed up for a class from the Bhakti Center, and that class only had 2 or 3 attendees, and I was one of them. And Gaur Kumar Prabhu was there, and Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, did the class, and all the emails for the class came from Gaur Kumar Prabhu. So I took the courage to email him, and then he was kind enough. I think somehow I found out that he was associated with 26 Second Avenue, and I requested him to show me 26 Second Avenue. This was all during COVID, and he was kind enough to do that. I think that's where I met Vallabh Chaitanya Prabhu first.
Oh, wow.
And then ever since I've been attending these Tuesday classes, and so it's all because of association. So I think Krishna works his magic all the time.
That's an amazing story. Thank you,
Also,
Prabhuji.
your eagerness, Prabhuji, your eagerness to hear and associate with devotees also is there. So you took that step. Thank you. Haribol.
Thank you. Haribol. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to end with okay, Nitya Mataji, do you want to go?
Just like the 30 seconds.
Sure.
I'm just grateful for the association of devotees. At that point in our lives, both me and Gautama Prabhu needed the most is when when I was pregnant and the baby was diagnosed with a genetic condition called trisomy 21, also known as Down syndrome. At that point, all the doctors and the gene specialist, I forgot what they were called, they were actually telling us to terminate. And then we came home from the shocking news. I wasn't sure how I even walked. I didn't know what was happening. It was just so heavy hearted. We came to the Bhakti Center. At the time we were living at the Bhakti Center, and I wasn't sure if I'll be in the position to tell devotees. But then Gorkma Prabhu was like, okay, no, we need to get the association of devotees. We need to tell them. We need to only they can give us that strength to go on. So he mentioned it to a few people at that time. Sukha Mataji was there in the Bhakti Center itself. She used to spend a lot of time with us in the Bhakti Center with management stuff. And she came to our room and then she said that this is a gift for you from Krishna to you, and you asked for a gift and Krishna gives you a gift. Now you cannot say, no Krishna, I don't like this gift. So just take it back. You cannot say that. And whatever gift Krishna gives is for our own good, and it's for our own growth and purification. And they're all these kids are all Brajbasis. They just have some things left and that they are born and just want to get rid of the last few traces of karmic effect. And when I heard that, we actually wrote all those things in a whiteboard in our room, and try to remember. And all the devotees are also very supportive, and that gave us a strength to go on. So just wanted to share that, and gratitude to all the devotees.
Thank you for sharing this very, very personal experience, Mataji. I'm reminded of a similar kind of situation and emotions that we were going through as a family, as an extended family of Vishwarup Prabhu and Rajeshwari Mataji when they were when they after at the point when they were having Varshabhan, just immediately after they had Varshabhanami. So yes, thank you for that, Manji. Okay, I'm going to end. We're already a little over, not a little bit, pretty much over time. One final story. So this is one little bird that came in our lives, and we really, in my life, and I used the pastime of Bharat Maharaj to kind of get to the conclusion and make sure he didn't make the same mistake. We didn't make the same mistake. So around the same time, it was Ashadi Ekadashi. I was walking in the park under my building, and there was this little lovebird that had probably escaped from its cage, and that was being mauled by some crows. So I took the help of a security guard and just rescued it and took it home. And then we had kept him home for a few days. And I remember being so absorbed in this bird. My consciousness was like so absorbed in this bird. I was playing badminton, and I left badminton just to go home. And I love badminton. And for me to leave badminton was like a big like indicator. And then I went home just to feed the bird, or give water to the bird. And then and my father used to like whistle these little melodies for the bird, and we had named it Mauli. And so it didn't go to the point where we were losing our sadhana, but we had this discussion as a family together, and we actually discussed Bharat Maharaj's pastime, and we were like, okay, I don't think we want to go down. We may not want to go down that route. And so this is nothing against people who have pets. I'm sure I love pets, and yeah, I mean, I'm sure they found out a balance, like Nitika Shori Mataji was mentioning. But yes, this is just a little personal story that I wanted to share. That's it. Thank you very much.
Is that Maholi?
No, that's not Mauli. I tried a lot to find a picture of Mauli, but this was in like 2017 or 18, and I couldn't find a picture. Yeah, this
So
is just.
what happened to Mauli?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I didn't end the story. So we gave Mauli to a devotee who had a friend who had like an aviary, and they took care of like a lot of birds together. So we gave her to that person. And we felt a little sorrow for a few days, but yes, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Sundari Saka. That's very sweet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Apologies for going a lot over time. Yes.
No, Mataji, every word you spoke today was nectar, pure nectar. Thank you very much for that. So much effort you put, and yeah, thank you. I mean, I don't want to take up too much time, but yeah, I really, really loved today's class, all the analysis and all the heartfelt way of expressing, and the relevant questions about compassion and about affection and so on. So they were really amazing, and yeah, so much nectar was coming through you. Nectar from you're being such a wonderful instrument of of Maharaj, of Rajbihari Prabhu, and spreading this wonderful wisdom of Krishna consciousness, Bhagavatam, and everything. So thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you for your kind words, Prabhuji.
I also want to add a few words, Sundari Saki. This was amazing. How nicely you prepared, and you had the right material. It was very, very practical also. Like all your slides, you made us think on certain important concepts. So thank you so much for, first of all, for doing the research, bringing out these practical points, and also giving us take-home messages. So I really loved your class. So thank you so much again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I mean, from beginning to end, like Lekha was just mentioning, that I also felt that it's completely engaging. I never felt that, a dull moment. You kept us all, going with the flow of the pastime, and also asking relevant and very important questions that we need to ask ourselves. And it's very beautifully led, and lot of hard work. It looks like you listen to a lot of classes from Gaurang Darshan Prabhu, Rajbihari Prabhu, and Maharaj. And so thank you for a very, very wonderful class, Sundari Saki.
Thank you, Madhuji. Thank you for your kind words. Please give me some constructive feedback also later. I mean, right now if you want to, but like, yeah, I will get back to you for that.
Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, can you announce the next few speakers, Prabhu?
Yeah, so for Bharat Maharaja's pastime, next week is me. So I'll be speaking next week, which is Supreme Character of Jada Bharat. Then there is Nadia Kishore Prabhu, followed by Aishwarya Mataji, followed by Krishnan Prabhu, followed by Vrinda Gopi Mataji. And that will end this Bharat Maharaj section on the 12th of August.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll keep posting on the group the next few speakers also.